And I think that's part of the reason why your whole body of work is so iconic. It's like every single project that you touch, it just becomes immortal, like part of your legacy. So the hat. Oh, sorry. All right, kid. Enough about me. What about you? What have you made? Me? No, I was talking to the waiter. Good one. Yeah, I mean, I've made 16 short films over the span of like 2 years. Just pumped them out. So that's really good. You should show me one. Yeah, I mean, I'll show you one time. I'll send you a link. Yeah, show me your latest one right now. Well, look, here's the thing. My last short film was like 3 years ago. So,
So the bill.
actually, I do have one film.
I hope you both enjoyed your meal.
Thank you. But it's unreleased. It's very early cut. Super top secret. Okay, I'm interested. Let me get my laptop. It's just in the car. Okay.
Babe, I have no time to explain. I'm on my way home right now. I need to leave all my camera gear at the front. Everything.
Everything.
All right,
That's a lot of gear.
just the camera, the tripod, and the mic.
Excuse me. You wouldn't want to be in an improvised short film by any chance, would you?
Heck yeah.
All right. Sweet.
In this video, we're going to talk about how to make completely improvised short films. In my last video, I talked about how important it is to make short films regularly to get better at our craft, but also to build an audience. So it's good to have an option to make a film at the drop of a hat with no planning that still is amazing for your audience.
But another reason to make one is when you haven't made a film in months or even years and you're just getting that short film itch and you need to make something. This happened to me earlier this year. I hadn't made a film for like almost a year and I just really wanted to make something and I didn't have too much time on my hands, so I just grabbed my brother, I grabbed another friend, went out with the camera and started shooting. We literally did zero planning and we shot for just a little afternoon and we had no story. It was just not making any sense, but it was super fun to shoot. And then the next day I had an idea for how I could finish the story and actually turn it into something watchable. So when we were able to meet up again, we went and shot that last little bit and we had a short film within like a week. That film is called Breaking and Exiting.
But it can be very tricky to make something that's actually watchable as a spontaneous short film because you're coming up with it on the spot. If you're really like talented with improv, or if you know a talented actor who's very good at improv, this is probably more for you. But I do think everyone can learn this. And there's a bunch of ways that I've learned to make this process easier and more foolproof to pump out really good short films on the fly. All right, first thing is pre-production. So obviously this needs to be super minimal. That's the whole advantage of doing a spontaneous short film, that there's no pre-production pretty much. But there is just 3 things to remember before you shoot the film. So the first thing is find actors who are naturally funny or good at improv. The way that I've been able to make these kind of short films is I have my brother and my cousin who are amazing at improv.
What's wrong with you, man? Nothing's wrong with me. Okay.
What's the score, man?
9-9.
Nah. It's not 9.
Brooklyn 9-9.
You don't even watch that show.
Started it this morning.
And they're just naturally funny as well. So you chuck them in front of the camera and they do most of the heavy lifting. So if you can find people, friends or family that are actors, even yourself, if you're good at improv, jump in front of the camera, it's gonna make it a whole lot easier. So you're not gonna write a full script, you're not gonna come up with a story, but you do need to have some conflict in your story or else it's not gonna be watchable. So one good thing to do is throw your actors into a scenario where one character has a goal that conflicts with the other character's goal. So we've actually made a web series that's fully improvised and non-scripted. It's called Malanan. And the way that I did this for Malanan is I would sit Curtis and Ethan down and then I throw them a random scenario that they're not even aware of. For example, I say, how did you two become the most successful art salesman of all time? And then they just have to come up with it on the spot. The third and final thing to remember before you shoot is the gear. I use natural lighting, so no lighting on set. I'll have a camera with image stabilization, which really helps when I'm moving the camera. I'll do mostly tripod shots, so it all looks clean, locked off. I'll have a lightweight tripod that I can lift up and move around at any point. There's been times where I'll bring a shoulder rig on set as well if I know that most of the stuff we're gonna shoot is gonna be all over the place, but I like to stick to just a lightweight tripod. Now for sound, there's 2 things that work. For flexibility, it's good to have a sound guy on set with a boom mic. If you don't have that extra set of hands and a boom mic, the best way to get good sound and not have it interfere with the fast pacedness is use a lapel like the one I'm using right here. So it's recording audio straight into the camera, which even saves time in post-production as well. All right, on to production. First production tip I have for you is a 2-camera setup. Pretty much like what I'm doing right here. The reason why this is super helpful on an improv shoot is because when you have 2 cameras set up on 2 actors, you don't have to recreate the conversation in the edit. They can actually overlap each other's audio without any issues later on. But that only works for mostly like indoors, sit down, dialogue scenes. So this leads to the next thing. How do you shoot when you're outside? So the way that I structure shooting that is something that I call linear coverage. I don't know if that's an actual term. It sounds pretty cool. You can't shoot traditional coverage in this improv style. Traditional coverage is you get your wide establishing shot, you go in on one character, get a wide, mid, close up, going on the other character, wide, mid, close up. Now that would work if you knew exactly what both characters were gonna say. So what you do is linear coverage. You shoot the storyline as it's happening. They usually start out with a wide and capture the scene how they do it. So that will kind of establish their main improv, but things might change as you do the next shot. Then you pick a character who kind of was leading the scene. Let them do their improv first. The other character's obviously responding, and you finish the scene. Then you switch the lapel mic to the other character, get their shot and their responses to that. If they come up with anything new in that scene, that's totally okay. When they do that, you have to go back to the other character to continue. You're now creating two scenes that kind of like can go in two different directions. You just pick up where the change happens. Okay, so that's linear coverage. So the next thing is save your butt by not shooting any over the shoulder dirty shots, but shoot singles inside the conversation. So what it means to shoot inside the conversation is where there's two characters, the camera is in front of the other character, so you're never actually getting two characters in one shot. You can just shoot a whole scene in a two shot and let them overlap each other, but just know that you're not going to be able to cut in at all, and that keeps it way simple. So best way to get really nice cinematography for an improvised short film is shoot at sunset, or you can bring a diffuser if you have a friend helping. They can just hold it up wherever you are, even if it's super sunny overhead, you just like chuck up this diffusion with a friend who's just like there because they really love you. Only someone who really loves you would hold diffusion for you all day in the hot sun. Or they're an actor and they want to be in your next film. One really important thing to remember about making these films watchable and actually entertaining is having stakes getting higher and higher. So what you can do to make sure your stakes get higher and higher is, as a director, throw out ideas for the actors to do to add to their improv, and you can just remind them as things progress to make bigger and bigger decisions that get them what they want. Don't put any limits on the story itself. As a team, if you guys are like a small crew of like 3 or 4, you have to make sure that there's like a yes man attitude, like no one can say no in improv. You got to kind of just go with wherever it's taking you. And if you think, oh no, now we've just written in this prop that we don't have, or we've written in this location that we have to go to, you have to force yourself to come up with a way that, how can you do this now? How can you show something that seems so grand in such a simple way? Like in my last video, I thought of this elevator pitch scene that I wanted to shoot, and I was going to get my wife involved. She was going to play the other character, and because we're in lockdown right now, we're going to shoot it in our elevator, which is the only place we're allowed to go right now. It's a bit dark now, just lift up the ISO. I thought I was already being resourceful, like, oh, I'll use the elevator, it's the only place we're really allowed to go. I actually ended up thinking of an even more simple way to do it. I just shot it in my apartment on a white wall and added some like cute CGI in later for an elevator, sound effects. I used myself as both characters because I thought it would be more funny. So don't think that, oh no, you just came up with like this really funny thing, but it involves something way out there. You have to believe that you can make it work with what you have. Otherwise, you won't even try. The cool thing about this is I've always found somehow we come up with a really good story on the spot. It's like writing a script. You're out there with some friends, coming up with a story. Someone throws an idea out, someone else adds onto it, the next person adds onto it. Before you know it, you're all creating these boundaries for a really good story, and you end up with something really good. But when you're writing a script, you're doing that improv, but you can also edit it. You come back, you revise it, you tweak it, and you don't get that luxury with improv stuff. But that's why the edit is the most important part. This is where the story is actually made. With improvised short films, you don't have a film until you get to the edit. I'm not actually editing right now, but I just thought I'd get my laptop out. You're pretty much gonna get rid of like 60 to 70% of what you film. Don't worry about leaving stuff on the cutting room floor. You have to put on a different hat and be like, all right, I'm gonna get rid of anything that doesn't serve a story. But you're gonna find that you're gonna have all these deleted scenes, extra content, bloopers, all these extra little videos that you can post for your audience.
So how's it looking? And just like that, cut, graded, and export. Nice. What's that, like 2 hours?
that good?
Yeah, normally my films take like weeks to make, so this is pretty insane.
And what, this director guy, you think he's still out there?
I'm pretty confident he's still out there. He said he was interested to see this.
Like 2 hours is a very long time.
I think he saw something in me.
Yeah, you know what?
I think you're right.
What? This was a test.
What, you guys know each other?
What the heck?
He works for you? He's a paid actor?
No, and no.
I work for him. I'm the paid actor.
What?
Yep. And guess what? I've already seen your film. And I love it. And here's your hat back.
Now that you are all set to go shoot your spontaneous short films, go ahead and do as you please. But it's one thing to nail these spontaneous short films and another thing to get really good performances in your short films. So why don't you check out this video on how Quentin Tarantino gets such good performances from his actors. See you in the next video.